to worship him again. He's not going to destroy us ever again. We're going to have everlasting peace. But y'all, oh no. If you don't worship, you're going to get destroyed. That's it, man. Anyway. So that's what it means about reconciling all things unto himself. All right, so let's go ahead and read some more about the judgment on Edom, since people say this has already happened, right? Well, I got a point in here I want to make. Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. If grape gatherers come to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, would they destroy till they have enough? But I have made Esau bare, so he's going to take everything. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbor, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, for captivity, and let thy widows trust in me. Hey. For thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. So he never really wanted that for the Israelites, for his people, but they had to drink for their iniquities. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? So you think that his apple of his eye is gonna get punished for their iniquities, and you just gonna slide on into the kingdom of heaven and rape, pillage, murder, trodden underfoot all the Tainos and the Negroes and just the whole world. You just done stepped on the skulls of the whole world and oppressed the whole of creation, from the animals to the sea to the people to the sky to the water to the food. You're just not gonna get no punishment. You're just gonna skate on into heaven. Hi guys, I'm here. I fucked it all up. Excuse my language, but I fucked it all up, and here I am. Doesn't matter. I'm all is well, all is forgiven. No, it's not gonna happen. Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. For I have sworn by myself, saith the Lord, that Basra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. I have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather ye together, and come against her, and rise up to the battle. That's coming, man. World War III is coming, and all these other heathens is going to come up against America, Babylon the Great, man. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and despised among men. Thy terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. Well, you already know whose symbol is the eagle, ours. Also, Edom shall be a desolation, and everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof, as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord. No man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. So that's one of the points. That's the point I want to make. These Edomites, these, theologians and archaeologists, they claim to have found the location of Sodom and Gomorrah where it was destroyed. They find pure sulfur on the ground there, big yellow balls of sulfur, and they say the radiation there is more. The radiation there is so great that it's more than like in Chernobyl and Nagasaki, Hiroshima, all these different places where nukes were dropped. They said the radiation there is greater than, let me see if I can find that. Will the past repeat itself in Pakistan and India? Sodom and Gomorrah, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The destruction of the biblical city Sodom and Gomorrah. A dense column of smoke rose rapidly, a cloud of rain, burning sulfur. The surrounding soil was turned into sulfur and salt, so that not even a blade of grass could grow there. and anyone in the vicinity turned to salt. Sounds like a nuclear blast. If the pillars of salt at the end of the Dead Sea, which are still there today, were ordinary salt, they would have disappeared with the periodic rains. Instead, these pillars are of a special, harder salt, only created in a nuclear reaction, such as an atomic explosion. Their vine, let's look at Deuteronomy 32:33. Their vine grows from the vine of Sodom, and their vineyards of Gomorrah. Their grapes are poison, and their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the venom of snakes, the deadly poison of vipers. I wonder what version of the Bible he's using. Anyways, dudes seem to be trying to go into it all deeper. Ancient nuclear warfare. Consider these verses. Blah, blah, blah. Until the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, modern mankind cannot simply imagine any weapon as horrible and devastating as those described in the ancient Indian texts. Yet they very accurately describe the effects of an atomic explosion. Radioactive poisoning will make hair and nails fall out. Immersing oneself in water gives some respite, though it is not a cure. When evacuations of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro reached the street level, they discovered skeletons scattered about the cities, many holding hands and sprawling in the streets, as if some instant horrible doom had taken place. People were just lying unburied in the streets of the city, and these skeletons are thousands of years old. Even by traditional archaeological standards, what could cause such a thing? Why did the bodies not decay or get eaten by wild animals? Furthermore, there is no apparent cause of a physically violent death. These skeletons are among the most radioactive. Why did I do that? Anyway, it's still right here. But anyway, like he was saying, the destruction of the biblical cities. So he said that, and there's actually still those big things of salt. Like there's a video of it. I might try to find the video and put a little clip of it in here. But I saw a video of them walking around supposedly where Sodom and Gomorrah was, and like the top was covered with all ashes, and they were like finding balls of sulfur and lighting them on fire, and they were still lighting, and there were like big old things of salt there, and there was like animals like to come here and eat the salt and stuff like that, and you know, I'm remembering bits and pieces of it. Hopefully I can find that, Lord willing. Even though I might get copywritten. Might get a copyright strike for that. I wonder if there's a way I can change it where it won't get copywritten.
Now, what is called the Dead Sea today wasn't always a sea. It used to be a valley. There was a time when armies came down and attacked the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and the other ones. And it says all these armies were joined together in the Vale of Siddim, or the Valley of Siddim. And Moses, who wrote Genesis here, went on to say, which is the Salt Sea. So when Moses wrote this, probably about 400 years after the events, what used to be the Vale of Siddim, or the Valley of Siddim, had become the Salt Sea at that time. It had filled up with water. And this is what it looks like. If you go there today and stand on the shore, there's looking right across the Dead Sea. There's the country of Jordan in the background here. A nice sparkling water. But what do you notice around the shoreline here? Those are not blocks of ice, as you can imagine. Those are rocks that are encrusted with salt. If here's a close-up, wherever the waves splash on them, it just dries out and leaves these heavy salt deposits all over the rocks. Here's some more interesting salt crystals. Just a little aside, this is not quite like your table salt. Table salt is sodium chloride. This is actually potassium chloride. So it's a different kind of salt for those chemists here, if you're interested. A lot of hotels have popped up around the Dead Sea because this is actually quite a, warm climate. And a lot of people come here to soak in the water because it's actually quite good for some skin conditions. So people with skin complaints come and soak in the water. Now, are the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Dead Sea? People have speculated that. I'll give you a Bible reason why I don't think that's the case. It's because they're called the cities of the plain. Now remember, there's a plain of Jordan, and in the plain of Jordan there was a valley called the Vale of Siddim. The cities are not called the cities of the vale, they're called the cities of the plain. Do you follow that? And it was the vale that became the Dead Sea, but all around it is a flat area, extending almost up to the Sea of Galilee and a lot way down towards the Gulf of Aqaba, a very flat area. That's the plain, and they're called the cities of the plain. Now there's an interesting Bible verse that uses these cities as a definition of the border of the Canaanites. You can find this in Genesis chapter 10. It says, the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, and we know where that is, as thou comest unto Gerar, unto Gaza. You know where Gaza is, it's still on the news today. As thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. Now here's a little map showing where these points are, based on what I'm going to show you later, these points here, which we believe are remains of these cities. And that makes sense of this description of the border of the Canaanites. Now, if these cities were all clustered together under the Dead Sea down here, that wouldn't make any sense to use these three cities as points along the way. But if you draw them here, where we believe they are, and you'll see the evidence why in a second, that makes a lot of sense.